A study by an Arizona cardiologist indicates doctors can shortchange their treatment of African American and Hispanic patients.
Cronkite News reporter Ashley Carter talked to physicians about the unconscious bias and what patients and doctors can do to address it.
The doctor's office seems to be the best place to go when you're feeling ill. However, some research shows physicians may not listen as well to their African American and other minority patients, affecting their health.
Joy Hale remembers when a doctor misdiagnosed her valley fever that led to health complications.
Started with a cough, and before long, my organs were affected by that.
Hale says she repeatedly asked for help, but didn't get it until she went to another doctor.
I don't think that just every doctor from every culture can handle the symptoms, the concerns, or even understand fully the concerns that different cultures have.
A 2018 study by Arizona cardiologist and researcher Dr. Khadijah Breathitt says physicians often treat African American and Hispanic patients differently than non-minorities.
It's bias more than racism. By bias meaning that you don't necessarily recognize that you have more of a predilection for a certain group than another.
The study also shows doctors are less likely to refer minority patients to specialists because they assume such patients cannot afford it or would not follow their doctor's guidance. A Tempe doctor says she's aware of the problem.
I've seen it in practice that patients who are Black or a minority tend to get passed up as far as early diagnosis and treatment. That's always the main goal when treating patients. And they're often passed off as, oh, you'll be okay. It's almost a blind eye in medicine, and it happens more often than not.
Breathitt says unconscious bias is likely one reason.
The majority of physicians mean to do well and mean to do the right thing with their patients, but it's hard to see what's unconscious unless you're taking steps to become aware of the issues that you have.
She says medical schools conduct diversity training, but that has been inconsistent.
It's a hard thing to address especially when you don't recognize that the problem's there, or you don't think the problem is real. There are a lot of people that say, I don't see color. I treat everybody the same.
Glover remembers a time when her bias got in the way of treating a patient.
He's a white, scrawny kid. And looked like he could have been on drugs.
Glover says the patient pleaded to be heard. Once she took the time to listen, she figured out he was gravely ill.
He was a near miss because of my biases and my colleague biases.
Patient Muhammad Kayali says he's talked to doctors and been to hospitals that judged him based on his name.
They see the name, they look at you and they're like, oh, is you Muhammad? Like, yeah, okay, well, come this way. Like, they just want to get me out of there.
Experts say one way to address the issue is to increase the diversity of doctors. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, about 6 out of 10 medical school graduates in the U.S. are white. The 2017 report shows African Americans make up less than 6% of graduates. Hispanics make up less than 5%.
There's not enough of us to spread around to take care of everybody. And there are a lot of targeted initiatives to grow the pipeline so that we can raise up more minority physicians and more women physicians, and particularly cardiologists.
Experts say it isn't practical or necessary for patients to only seek out physicians of the same race or ethnicity. Instead, seek other qualities.
And what I tell providers as well as patients is to try to develop a relationship where there's trust so that you can identify common ground where you can see that person as your loved one. Oh, that guy, that kind of reminds me of my brother, or kind of reminds me of my mother or my father. And even if the situation gets a little bit uncomfortable, you're more willing to show empathy and show a lot of care with that person because it's your family member or like a family member.
Glover says she promotes her work, not her race.
It's, easy to see that I'm a Black doctor. When I market myself, I want patients to get a new idea, new medicine, if you will, to come to my practice and get time. I don't spend 5 to 7 minutes with my patient. I sit down and talk to them 20 to 30 minutes at times.
Patients of all backgrounds need to shop around for doctors. Now Glover's patient, Joy Hale, says she's happy.
As an African American, it's important to me that I feel like I'm heard and understood.
Breathitt says patients need to realize their value when talking to their doctors. She says everyone deserves trust, respect, and appropriate care. Live in downtown Phoenix, Ashley Carter, Cronkite News.